Welcome to Nuhaus Knows, where you go when you need to know. Introducing our host, the big man himself,
Professor Nuhaus, a.k.a. Rob Platt.
I am Ralph, also known as Aaron Michelle.
And I am John the Builder.
John
dramatic
the Builder.
pause, John. Dramatic pause.
Yeah, we need music. Or you got to introduce like a dun dun dun.
Right,
By the way, that's what we
I'll
need.
give him the James
Just for
Bond
John.
theme.
Just for John.
I'm John the Builder. Ba-bum, ba-bum.
Yeah, John needs his own little theme music.
Yeah, I think John needs theme music.
And last but not least, the man who likes to push your buttons.
I'm Zach.
And we got to tell you, this is round 2, folks, because we got 20 minutes into the episode when Zach found out that the computer hates him.
Or I guess the man who doesn't push the right buttons.
Yes, he didn't. He didn't. It's so sad.
Pushed the button and it did the thing. And
He's got a Band-Aid on his finger. We can blame
Yeah,
it.
he's got a Band-Aid.
We
You
can
can't
blame it on the
see.
Band-Aid.
I got a boo-boo.
He's got a boo-boo. He's wounded. It's
It makes button pushing difficult when you have a faulty tool.
And this is my main button pusher finger.
Yeah, this is my button finger.
But today we are putting someone on the hot seat, aren't we?
I think John is lined up for the barbecue.
He didn't consent. We just said this is what was happening.
Well, and we put John on the
No,
hot
in
seat.
fairness, John has consented
Yes.
because he is on the show.
That's fair.
Yes.
So he doesn't get a say anymore. We can ask him whatever we want.
He didn't
I'm
read the
down.
fine print.
Anyhow, and so spoiler alert, we said in the last one that we're going to put John on the hot seat. So crap, that's over. And this particular episode, we effectively want to talk to you about what we see. We have discussed that the premise of the show is that we're designers, residential designers, and we tend to see things weeks, if not months, before the rest of the world sees them.
Good or bad.
And that includes
And doesn't it come back last, too? It starts and then ends.
Well,
Isn't that the way that
so,
works?
when it comes back, we see it first. When it dies, we see
well,
it.
I will say the reason you think that is because of 2008. Atlanta specifically, we were the first to collapse. Unfortunately, we were the last to rebuild.
Cool.
That's true.
So that's why you think that. But typically, we're the first one to see good or bad, but we come back first too.
But we tend to see it before you
Yeah.
see it, John, because
Yes.
you work off of our documents.
Yes.
As a builder, you work with plans provided by designers. And so, it's when they start coming fewer and, less frequently that you start saying, oh, something's not right.
Well, I will call you and ask you the question.
Yes.
Because if it slows on my end, I go, ruh-roh. Let me call and see what you're going to say. And then when you say, no, everything's great and wonderful, I go, oh, thank God. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Let's keep going.
Scooby-Doo is an unsung hero.
He really is.
I'm sorry, Ruh-roh is just...
Ruby Roo.
At any rate, what we have seen recently is Aaron and I, we have discussions once or twice a week. Every Monday, we kind of open the week with, okay, what are we looking for this week? What's moving in? What projects we're preparing for? And then we just kind of check in on Wednesday and Friday. We've had 8 projects that are in our sweet spot. That is the middle income economy.
And these 8 projects are not over the course of the last 6 months. These are over the course of the last 4 weeks.
Yeah.
This is a very condensed time period that we're talking about.
Yeah, this isn't something we've kind of watched cooking up. It kind of just whammo, the heat came on. And all of these projects should be just forging ahead. Once a client engages us, a couple things have happened. Emotionally, they have said, hey, we're ready to go. This is, we talked about it. We've talked about doing whatever it is we're going to do to our house, expand it, modify it, whatever. We've gone back and forth. We've kind of looked at our money. We looked at our budgets, what we think we can afford. We're ready to go. And then they come and they have talks with us, which used to be shorter. When a client came to us, we would work with them and we would discuss a lot of things before we even offered them a proposal. And that time frame was maybe a week, 10 days. Now, these projects that we're talking about, we may have been in discussions up to the point they pulled the trigger and said, we're ready to go. We want to engage you, weeks or months.
It's typically months.
Yeah, it's getting to a place now where they're really looking to us to give them answers we can't give them. Because there is this belief that we have a crystal ball, and we do not. We have a pretty damn good understanding of what the economy's doing.
It kind of reminds me, this is a silly anecdote, but it feels akin to this. When Moose, my son, was about 2.5, maybe 3, I was driving him home one night from daycare, and he was in that phase of asking why about everything. And he also was still in the place. Yeah, no, he hasn't grown out of that much.
Zach still does that.
Ethan is laughing because my child has not grown out of that. He still asks why about everything. But he was at the age that he thought I knew the answers to everything.
Yeah,
At least.
Now it's a why, and then I don't think so. I don't think you're correct.
Yeah, now he challenges everything. But he was at that place, and so we're in the car, and he starts asking me what everybody else in their cars are doing, where they're going. And I was like, buddy, I don't know. And he got angry with me because it was the first time that I had really not known the answer.
That was hysterical.
And he was like, what do you mean you don't know? Where are they going? And I was like, some of them might be going to work. Some of them might be going home. Some of them might be going to the store. Some of them might just be trying to escape their children right now. I can guess what they might be doing, but I don't know. I don't know all of these people. I don't know what they're doing. And he got upset with me that I didn't know the answer because he thought I knew all of the answers. And it feels like a parallel to our clients right now, because they feel like we should know all of the answers. We should understand everything of what's going on in the industry right now. And it's so topsy-turvy and such a new terrain that we see things earlier, and we can go on data from our history that we can extrapolate things, but that's what we're doing. We're extrapolating things. We still don't have concrete answers to everything either.
Robert, you said that about that square foot thing, the preliminary square foot. Like, that's a misnomer. That's not what it is.
Absolutely. And that's what we're going to talk about now is what a guy. He's a genius, even though we recorded the first 20 minutes already. So
that wasn't his fault. That was Zach's fault.
Giving away the business.
I know.
That wasn't my fault. It was my finger's fault.
It was
the one with the Band-Aid. It's so Zach and I were talking earlier about the fact that all businesses are in a state of up or down. You're either going up or you're going down. You made a very good point, which was
that right now, if it's plateauing, it's flat and there's nowhere to go.
Right? You can't coast on a flat road.
And
so you're going to stall.
Unfortunately, if you're plateauing, you want to plateau on a high. Right now, we're plateauing in a valley.
Kind of, yeah. And it is the great valley of uncertainty. And that uncertainty is kind of scary because one of the cornerstones of this show, during some of the unrest that we've had in the country over the last few years, a phrase came out, especially among Black Lives Matter: equity in America, equity in America. And I thought about that phrase so much because that's so true. If you own a home, you own a little piece of the quilt. America's a giant quilt, and it's whacked up into parcels of land. And if you own a home, you've got your little patch of the quilt, and you're treated differently. Your taxes are different. You write off interest for mortgages, all kinds of stuff. Neat things happen when you own a home and you have equity in America.
And your vote matters more.
Seems to.
When you show up at a city council meeting and you are an owner of a property in their tax bracket versus a renter, your voice counts more.
That's a really good point.
But if you're a renter, now this is kind of creepy. You don't get to write off any taxes. You don't get to write off squat. You get to pay and pay and pay. You have no equity in America. It's almost like you're renting your birthright. That's kind of creepy. And so, when we look at this, and the reason for this show is that we believe housing is the leading economic indicator in America. Its health or lack thereof is the direct picture of what's going on. Everything else is on the fringes because there's 3 things that matter, right? Food, shelter, clothing. We got clothing under pretty good shape. Food is a mystery. America, last count, I believe we produce 6 times more food than we consume. And we could start a whole series of discussions on that because if that's true, why do we have people going to bed hungry in the most powerful, flourishing nation
And if we have an
on earth?
excess of food, why is it so very expensive?
Yes. million question. However, if you don't have a roof over your head, lots of other things become secondary. And we've got a segment of America that, lives under bridges. And now we have an entire generation that does not have high prospects of acquiring a home. So, and we'll get to that in a minute. What we want to do is lay out this terrain that we've been talking about, the ups, the downs, the plateaus. So when somebody comes to us and they want to talk to us about renovating their property or building a new home or whatever the hell they're going to do, they ask us, and I love this, how much is it going to cost?
How much? Yeah.
Yeah, how much is it going to cost? That's a classic. Don't you love that one, John?
That's my favorite.
Yeah. Do you ever walk into a car dealership and just walk up to the guy and say, well, how much is a car?
No.
Well, can't you guys start putting the stickers on the houses now?
Yeah,
Just like
yeah,
ours.
how much is a car?
99
Well,
cents.
do you want a Cadillac or do you want a Yugo? I mean, what do you want? It's, what do you, believe it or
A
not.
Fiat.
Yeah, a Fiat. Say it again, Tony. I shouldn't say that on the air, right?
Please don't sue us.
It's a Peugeot.
Yeah. At any rate, we can't say how much a house costs. Everything is individual. Everything is custom, really, to a great degree. And they all come at a cost. And in years gone by, we have tried to budget you using what's called cost per square foot. And you all have heard that, which is kind of a misnomer. Cost per square foot is funny. Every square foot of your house does not uniformly cost the same thing. Expensive spaces are
Kitchens, bathrooms.
wet spaces.
Yeah.
Yeah, wet spaces, kitchens, baths, they're the highest, right?
Yep.
They're the most expensive. Cheapest would be,
Garage. You mean indoors?
yeah,
Garages.
yeah.
Dry
right.
spaces.
Well, just a slab with a
Oh
roof
my
over
God,
it.
it took you that
No
long.
air conditioning. We humor Zach. He's his meds are running low. It's just one of those things.
Uh-huh.
And he's got a Band-Aid on his finger, and there's no cut.
This is where the
So we're
brain
just
is.
saying, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm good for one thing.
The first one was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This one is just plain.
So we look at these. So we average them out. We average out the average garage, 2 cars, the average living room, dining room, bedroom. It all comes together.
If a garage is not attached, do you still count that as the house square footage?
You
or
have
how does
to.
that- okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Because it's still built at the same time. It's
Yeah.
still going to be part of the construction.
That felt like a dumb question, but
It's
Well,
not
no,
a dumb
it's
question.
not. And trust me, we're going to get to that. Lots of clients.
Yeah. I got one right now.
lay it on us.
I just got to say.
It's a
I'm
horror
just full
story.
of dumb questions.
It's not dumb.
No, it's not dumb. It's
No.
fantastic because what I get frustrated with is in the real estate market, this house costs you $240 a square foot. So people listen to that and believe all that garbage, and they come to me and say, okay, well, they're telling me I can build this house, and they'll give me this plan. And it's a great plan. But they're not thinking about their garage square footage. They're not thinking about porches. They're not thinking about decks, patios. They're not thinking about any of that. Like, all that shit's just free. There's not.
I
thinking
love
about
that.
it.
I love it's like free shipping.
Yes.
Free shipping tickles
I
me to
just-
death. I have seen
It's
and
already there.
FedEx guys and UPS, they are the most benevolent guys in the world because they work for nothing.
Yeah.
Shipping's free. They just get up in the morning and say, I want to give back to the community. I think I'll kill myself today and load 5 tons of crap in the back of a van and go out in the middle of God's own heat and just hand the stuff out. That's
There's
what I'm going to
Santa
do.
Claus.
Yeah, every day.
Yeah.
It's just
So
beautiful.
nothing's free. None
No.
of this stuff is free.
No, and that's one that frustrates me because,
It's like you just want to light it on fire,
well, I just get it a lot, and it just blows me away. How
What
can
I
you-
love is that everybody has thought that John was so calm and never got upset. And he just got pissed off and said, shit.
Yeah.
We just found a hot button for
Yes.
Mr. John.
I've gotta
Veins
calm-
are growing in
I've
his
got to
head.
calm down. My mom's listening.
Well, that's what she tells you.
Yeah, as far as you
No,
know.
the funny thing is she's going to laugh. So.
Yeah, no, your mom, because I'm a mom, she's probably like, they're being mean to my baby? Who am I going to go after? So she's probably taking her earrings off right now.
So homeowners have got, they walk in with these preconceived notions that are founded in some non-realities. Cost per square foot is not uniform.
So how does that translate for you then? So if someone brings you a plan and says, I have the square footage and this is the price.
Yeah, Mr. Hot Seat.
Yeah.
If somebody brings me a plan, I can give them a better idea of what that's going to be. But my favorite is, and Aaron said something earlier about like a deck.
Mm-hmm.
A deck can be as simple or as complicated as you want it. But when you come to me and go, "Oh, it's just a deck," just a
I
Just.
love deck. That's our favorite word. Is
If
just.
we
Yes.
could get just stricken from the effing record, please.
Yeah.
You guys can't see this. They all got real triggered, and I'm
yeah.
still not understanding why.
Well, because clients come to us and say, one of our favorites, I just want blank.
Yes.
Just means it's very diminutive.
It's just a
It's
sketch.
just-
It's just a
It's
deck.
just.
It's just the press of a couple buttons.
And then they put a blank after it and they fill in something like nuclear reactor or whatever. I just want, some god awful thing, right? Which drives us insane.
It's like if somebody came into the theater and was like, "It's just a fly system."
Y'all don't know what that is, but trust me, it's a big thing. So,
Or yeah, or somebody going to a surgeon and being like, "It's just an appendix you're taking out." It's
and we don't even use it anymore as far as we know. What's your problem? So you should do this in your spare time before you play golf.
Yeah.
And they do. They look at you, and then they don't figure out any of the stuff. Well, what's your lot? Is it a quarter acre? Is it 2 acres? Is your driveway, 30 feet from the street, or is a half mile?
Is
to your
that
house?
deck going 2 feet above grade, or is it going 24 feet above grade?
Absolutely.
What does that mean?
Grade is your ground.
Your dirt.
So is your deck just a little high off the ground, or is it
Really?
2 stories off the ground?
Yeah.
Which
you
we've
go-
had.
You're going 4 foot. You're going 20 foot. I mean,
Hilarious. enough,
Everything costs
it
money.
counts.
Zach's deck pretty much is 20 feet off the ground.
Yeah, there we go.
Built on a hill.
There you go. Yeah.
Speaking of grade, yeah.
And see,
So-
that's my favorite too. We talking about their grade a while ago. It's like, I have a flat lot, and you drive over to look at it, but you didn't realize the road elevation that you're pulling off of to go to their lot's 20 freaking feet in the air.
Yeah.
So a little different.
Yeah.
So geez,
Well,
sure it's flat, but you got a lot of water coming your way.
It's just 20 feet.
See,
So,
there you
Sean,
go.
I have a question.
Okay.
So when you're talking about like grade, like 24 feet to grade, and you were like, someone says they have a flat lot, and you end up driving and it's 50 billion feet in the air. Is there like when can someone truly say they have a flat lot? Like when is that?
If you live in Florida,
There you go.
Is there like
nowhere here in Georgia can you say you have a flat
Everything
lot.
goes up and down.
That tracks.
Florida, if you stand on a tall chair in Jacksonville, you can see Miami. It's flat. It's a flat state. I lived there for most of my life, so yes, it's very flat.
So
If you bought, okay, you're in a subdivision that's already been done for I don't know how long, and somebody didn't build on a specific lot. You might qualify that as a flat lot, just right off the road. Okay, that's fine. But
Okay.
it varies depending on how you're getting to said lot.
So we were talking about the translating. So when you get the estimate, right? Is that what you get first for the build, or you're bidding it with an estimate? Like how does that? How does that?
He creates it.
Yeah, but how does that change from the square footage number that you get? Like what would affect that change? What would make that?
Let's talk about what they did. Let's talk about what they did. Now, before COVID, guys, just take our word for it. In the Metro Atlanta, we're at about $135 a square foot. That's if you averaged everything together, we're about $135 a square foot.
And again, these are averages. These are things that we on the design side use to make sure that we're not designing a champagne taste on a beer budget. That is what we're using these averages for. It is to make sure that we are not doing unethical designs based on where your target is.
Keeping in mind that until we get the design complete, there's no way to get an accurate number.
Right. But,
Up until then, it is a swag. It's a scientific wild ass guess.
but we're using these averages, these estimates based on extrapolations from history to get in the neighborhood. They are not anything you can take to the bank. They are things that we as designers are using. They are not what builders should be using. So that's why we do not hand this. We don't hand that to John.
They're a rule of thumb. So,
And you said since 2020.
bingo. And that's the biggie. That's the biggie. The numbers up until then, they're pretty stable. They were pretty stable. I mean, give or take 5%, we could get pretty tight on a budget, $135 a square foot with a reputable builder that is not trying to gouge your brains out. And most builders, folks, builders get a bad rap. They're treated like brown shoe salesmen, and they're not. Most builders are good, decent, honest people. There are a few jackasses out there that screw up the whole dynamic. Well, they do. They just, they take advantage. And so we look at these numbers, and they were very stable, and then along came COVID. Oh, my God. Now, you don't need to know how this works, but we measure lumber in something called board feet, and it's a cubic volume. And what that means is we're working thousands of board feet. Before COVID, lumber was about $400 per 1,000 board feet.
Yeah.
At the peak of COVID, it was $1,550 per 1,000 board feet. Now, how that happened?
51 actually.
I'm sorry.
1551.
1551. Yeah, John is he is a stickler. He's a stickler, and it's the man has
Never apologize for correcting him. I enjoy it so very much.
But at $1,551 per square foot, I mean, you can look. That is an enormous increase. Now, supply chains were a big cause of the problem. Well, a lot of that got fixed.
Mm-hmm.
Quick.
And wholesale, because that's what we're talking about, what retailers buy it for. They were buying for $400 per 1,000 board feet. It's back to about, what, $430?
Yeah, it fluctuates. It goes in the fives to the fours. I mean, it's
yeah, but it's bobbing around in there. It's remarkably close to where it was. Yet, the cost per square foot that we work with, the budgetary numbers we work with, are no longer $135 a square foot. In 4 short years, they are now averaging, drum roll please, John.
What? On the what? I'm sorry.
Cost per square foot.
Oh, yeah, we're around 230. It's sad.
Did you hear that? 230. We went from 135 to $230 a square foot. And that is averaging, you're very reasonable in your profit margins. As a matter of fact, some people would say you're working on some.
I get told I'm too cheap on that portion, the profit margin, because we try to be around the 12%.
Yeah, which is very reasonable.
Yeah, we were doing 10, but we went to 12.
Yeah, and insurance companies, they pay.
Monster.
I know.
Insurance companies pay 10% profit, 10% overhead, always have, always will, and you can make money, good money, doing insurance work, doing good quality work. You don't have to do junk.
No.
And for 12%, you're working on some. I know we've got some very nice projects that we're working on.
Yeah.
And you've managed to keep the lights on at your house.
Yep, I have.
Your sweet wife hasn't killed you in your sleep.
Nope, not
And
yet.
all of
not
your
yet.
children are well fed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they are.
Things are going pretty good. So you've proven that you can actually be reasonable and
Show off.
do good quality work. He is.
Well,
I didn't want to say it. Thank God you did.
It's this crazy thing that you can be ethical and still make a living. It's bonkers.
Well, the fact is that recently we've been bidding some of these projects, and we've got 8 projects that are just stalled right now because the clients don't know what to do.
Yeah.
There are too many variables or too many things that scare them. And then the cost per square foot are insanely high. The interest rates, coupled with the high cost per square foot, is creating an even more difficult hurdle.
And that's where I kind of want to put you on the hot seat. Yes, you're reasonable and you're ethical, and we just sung your praises. But
Dum, dum, dum.
yeah, but also you're the builder.
Yep.
You're the guy that knows. Why have prices jumped 66% in 4 years? What is happening?
I'll be honest, I don't know why. I mean, I'm always hearing supply and demand should be what's causing this, but I don't see supply and demand being, not around here anymore. I mean, I can see during COVID, yeah, we did. We had apartments going up everywhere. So I got the lumber thing. But then everybody, I mean,
Just so you know, apartments suck the air out of the room.
Yes.
When apartments go up, they use like the lumber of 1,000 houses.
I'll tell you how bad it got. People like me, I wasn't building apartments. I might be renovating apartments. I might be doing a home here or there. Some lumber companies wouldn't even take me as a new client because I wasn't worth their time.
What do you mean you weren't worth their time?
Because if I'm not buying, $100,000, $200,000 worth of lumber from them, I'm buying a $17,000 lumber package. That's nothing to them when they can keep that guy happy.
So they're just selling to like big wholesale, not
Big contractors.
Well, kind of first come, first serve.
Yeah, big contractors who are doing the huge work.
well. We talked about lumber going back down to like kind of where it was.
Yeah.
Where is the extra cost then? Because if it's not having to do, if the apartments are sucking the air out of everything,
Well, isn't that the question?
That is the question, yeah. I mean, I sent, because I get these all the time. So just so Rob can have it, from a supplier, I sent him one of the letters I got. Hey, guess what? Roofing materials are going up 5 to 8% depending on the type you're buying. Why? Nobody can tell me why.
well, is there a conspiracy to make us all rent for the rest of our lives? What is
Well,
this?
That I don't know.
And we're gonna
it
run
doesn't
out of
make
time in
sense.
this
'Cause
episode
I can put that
because
tinfoil hat
you're
on right
getting to the heart of the matter. And I love Paul Krugman. He's a Nobel laureate economist. He talks about this a lot, and people don't like what he has to say because everybody's screaming inflation, and he's saying no. Oh, there's an element of inflation. There always is. We've always looked at 2 to 3% per year. We just do. We look at that on the average. As a matter of course, in construction, we always look at 2% a year.
Well, I think if nothing else, we've proved 2% works.
Yeah,
But 8?
No,
yeah,
No.
or
doesn't work.
66 in 4 years.
Well, yeah, it doesn't work.
66% is a crazy number. That's
I
Well-
mean, that's averaging 15 points a year. That's insane.
And I guess my question is, so you're seeing that retail has not gone down, obviously, for the raw materials, for your lumber, for your concrete, for your windows.
Lumber has gone. I am seeing the difference in lumber.
Oh, okay.
I am seeing that. I am seeing some in windows. Because windows got out. I mean, there was a time when windows, they were a 32-week lead time.
Well, I'm not talking lead times. I'm
That's
talking
insane.
price.
Oh, well, price. Well, that back then, though, because that lead time, your price was elevated on
Oh, okay.
Windows. It was elevated very much.
Well,
But
so-
now it's kind of come back
So
to
if some of
reality.
these retail prices are coming down, is it your subcontractors that are
Wages went up
yeah. Is it labor?
huge during COVID.
okay? Then that's not necessarily a bad thing.
No, it's a
but
good thing.
are those elevated wages? Are they only going to the owner of the companies of the subcontractors? Or are they going to the workers of the subcontractors?
It's kind of all over.
It is a mixed bag. Some's going to the workers, and because I think some people just realized that, hey, they're saying it, let's raise our prices on our labor. Did everybody see the benefit? I don't think so. Because some people I've talked to, they're still making the same thing they were making 3 years ago. So where's it going? It's
Yeah,
going,
as we
it's going to
discussed-
somebody.
As we discussed in previous episodes, framers, there was, for me, I noticed 10 to 15 years that framers did not get an appreciable raise.
No.
They're working for the same money they were working for in the early 2000s. They can't raise a family. And how do you keep quality people on staff if they can't earn a living? Well, you don't. And you get crappy, labor. We call it skilled labor. They're just labor. They show up, they breathe, they can pick up heavy things, and they don't quit.
The sad thing is it's hard to know who's telling you the truth on that when it comes to a company owner because you don't know who's actually paying somebody more.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question on that. Then you're talking about you get these letters from these people saying costs are going to go up 8% or they're going to go up however many percent.
Yep.
Is that across the board for everyone that you're talking to, or could you potentially just go to someone else, like another person, to provide your roofing materials?
Oh, yeah, you can. But they all try to stay in the same.
Yeah, there is.
It's going to be $1 or $2 a bundle on shingles or whatever the case may be, a difference. That's it. And they're going to compete. And, if I go to one right now and say, this guy's offering me $32 a bundle, I can probably find somebody who'll give it to me for $30.
Mm-hmm.
But I ain't going beyond that.
So it's similar to like two gas stations that are across the street from each other.
There you go.
You're not going to have one that really undercuts the other all that much because
They're going to have price wars.
yeah.
Because here's what I was told by a supplier. I will not name this company name because I don't want to be in trouble. But
Amen.
and the main
Hence the
gentleman-
hot seat.
Well, the gentleman flat told me. He said the time is coming when somebody, and he means another company, is going to say, okay, we're going to lower our prices a little bit, and they're going to try to corner their market, and they're going to. And then they're going to realize my sales are down dramatically.
Yes.
I better do the same damn thing, or or what else am I going to do? I'm going to get yelled at from somebody higher than me. And then they'll lower it. But we're not there yet.
But that brings us back to where we are. And what we're promoting in the show is your power to do something. You are not a victim. All you guys are not victims. You are participants in an economy, and you have the power of no. You have the power of no, and you have the power of wait.
Yeah.
And what John's saying is, enough of you say no, they're going to have to drop their prices to get more sales, and you're going to start moving the needle on the market. We're going to leave you today with our sponsor. It's a phrase called greedflation, and it's a great word. I've heard Krugman say it as well. And Mr. Krugman, we would love to have you on the show if you. We just love to have you here. I admire you very much, and because you tell the truth and don't seem to give a crap about.
He
telling
has
the
your
truth.
picture on his wall.
Yeah, it matters. But we talk about greedflation. And greedflation during COVID, when prices rocketed through the roof, a segment of society tolerated it. Didn't have to like it. Didn't have to approve. Didn't have to anything. They just tolerated it.
And the other segment capitalized on it.
Absolutely. And they said, oh, we don't have to drop our prices that far because they can handle it. And what they wound up with, and this is a shit business model, sorry, but it is, and that is I will make more money with less sales, which means less staff, which means less overhead and more profit. Hell with it. That works for me. And I'm sorry, that's just a shitty business model because business is entirely predicated upon people buying your stuff.
Yes.
Well, just final thing for John. What would you think needs to happen specifically to fix that? To fix that monopolization of
The prices come
prices,
down.
yeah.
Goes back to that we the people thing. We gotta stop spending for a moment and just see what happens.
Yep.
And
That's-
it works.
that's fact,
It
isn't it?
works every time. When we stop spending, it works. So nobody can tell me that won't work. If the railroad goes on strike tomorrow, it's going to cost our economy $1.5 billion a day.
Yeah.
So what the hell can we do? We can do a lot more than that. We're a hell of a lot bigger than the
Amen.
railroad.
Yep.
So I'm just saying, I mean, if we just step up and say, let's just freeze for a moment, it'll work. Always has, always will.
I love it. Well, thank you, John, for allowing us to warm your seat up a little bit today.
Buns are a little warm.
Well, we'll
They're
see if he
toasty
gets
buns.
any phone calls saying, where can we serve papers?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. John, when you get sued, just don't put our names.
John is an alias.
But anyway, on that note, thank you for listening. Nuhaus Knows, where you go when you need to know.